Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's stream, the thing we do every week. You know, we've been playing Hex Boyfriends for a few weeks now. It's been a little while. We've gotten a few different endings, and last week we finally get a Hex Boyfriend. I believe it was Devin that we got. Now, I said that at the time it seemed like there should be other endings. Like, that didn't really seem like the most climactic of endings, right? I've been playing the game, or reading the story, whichever you want to call it, throughout the week, trying to see what other paths there might be, and I don't know, it doesn't really seem like the story has a big ending that it leads to like Vampire Boyfriends did. When we got to the real ending in that one, we knew it was. I mean, there was really no questioning that. So I think that since Hex Boyfriends does not seem to have a big secret thing that we should be building towards, this will probably be our last week of Hex Boyfriends. I just thought we would do it just one more time and see what the ultimate ending we would get would be, if we would get an ultimate boyfriend or not. If it would be Devin again or Theo, or maybe we could go back to Rick or Mike, because there is actually an ending where you can go back and talk to them after our little demon adventures, turns out. Or no one. Maybe we end up with no one. That's possible too. All these things possible in Hex Boyfriends. Now, as far as this week's soundtrack, the final soundtrack for Hex Boyfriends, well, the first time we did Hex Boyfriends, we used the Shadows of the Dam soundtrack, which worked really well, and we didn't even go through a quarter of that soundtrack, so I thought we'd finish it off, continuing on with the Shadows of the Dam soundtrack where we left off, since I think this worked probably the best of any of the soundtracks we've used. Alright. So, now of course we have to come to our choice of who our final pursuant of romance is going to be. First, let's choose. I like how you're voting without even knowing what we're voting on. We'll choose gal or guy, let's say. Number 1 gal, number 2 guy. Try to narrow things down first of all, I guess. It's pretty split. Some people saying Solid Snake, or Bully Demise. You know, Bully Demise, I don't even know what his voice would sound like. We talked about that last week. What would Bully Demise sound like? I don't even know. But it looks like that for our last pursuant of romance, it looks like you're saying you do want it to be a guy once again. So, okay, we'll go with guy. No, actually, gal. That number 1 was gal. Okay. We'll go with gal then. Okay, so if we're going with a gal, who would be the final one to try to find a Hex Boyfriend? Who might that be? Don't know, could be a girl's name. It kinda could, yes. Waluigi, definitely a contender. Gamblovia, just go with Gamblov once again, this time in girl form. It's not a bad idea, really. Ellen Page, because Ellen Page, of course, is in all video games everywhere. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll go with Gamblovette. Who could say? The ultimate Waluigi. No, I'm not even sure what Ellen Page... her voice is just basically every girl, really. It's not really a standout voice. It's just a voice you can relate to. So I guess probably what that means is that if we go with Ellen Page, basically I would just talk in my voice, because that's basically as much of an Ellen Page imitation as anything else. Okay, we'll go with Ellen Page. She'll be the final one to attempt to get a Hex Boyfriend. Ellen Page, shortly after her adventures as a girl who had a ghost following her around, going on to attempting to survive in a post-apocalyptic world with fungus zombies. She's gotten through all this, she's survived, she's made it out of the catastrophe, and now she's gone to college and is just trying to find love, trying to Heck's boyfriend. Because, you know, who is not trying to find that out, chat? What major has Ellen Page taken? I mean, we have to consider this. She has a ghost with her, who she has to take the class. I mean, that ghost doesn't seem like it's going to sit around for some boring classes. What would the ghost be interested in, I'm wondering? I imagine college would be very difficult for Ellen Page. Okay, most of you are saying let's go with biology. Alright, I guess we'll go with that. I'm not sure why Aiden would... I mean, maybe Aiden could just cut up the dead animals for her. Maybe Aiden will be the one doing the dissecting. Maybe that'll entertain Aiden. I don't know. We know all this already. We've started it with... Now, if you may have noticed, depending on the major we pick will affect which of the spells we will learn. And this time, with biology major, we once again learn the flame spell. Yeah, it's the choice between Rick or Mike. I mean, that seems to be the main thing that has some sort of effect on our choice when we choose a major, which spell we pick. Because the different spells do different things. The flame spell, we know what it does. We can use it at one point against the demon if we happen to head in that direction, if we choose that path. We can end up using it on the demon. The other spells, let's see, I think there was a scrying spell that we can use on the tooth in the museum. What was the third spell? I can't remember now. But yeah, the spells do different things, and what we choose as a major does not really seem to affect much of anything. So it just seems to matter on what spell we get. Now, as for this choice, Rick or Mike, it looks like most of you are choosing Rick. You don't want to go with Mike again. Soulful Mike does not seem to have too much appeal to the chat. So we are going to go with Rick. Rick picks us up in his car. We remember what the... Oh, did I figure out what the tooth does? Sort of? Actually, do we want to... just let me know. Do you want me to go to the path where we get the tooth? Because we didn't really see what that might have done. I think that we probably should go for the tooth just to see what that is. Now, if you don't remember, the tooth was what we would get when we went to the Life of Early Man exhibit. You see, if you remember, Rick was kind of... He was kind of acting in a way you shouldn't in a museum. And he ended up smashing this ancient pottery. There's this tooth. We could allow Rick to grab the tooth, or we could grab the tooth. Chat, should we let Rick grab it? Can he be trusted with the ancient tooth? Should we take the tooth for our own? It looks like you're saying we should not let Rick pick it up. He can't be trusted with ancient teeth? Okay. Actually, let me, let's see. I'm gonna put a bookmark here, chat. We haven't used the bookmark before. I'll put it here. You know why I'm putting the bookmark here? Because I'm gonna show you what happens when we let Rick pick it up. We'll come back here afterwards, but let's just see what happened if Rick actually takes it. Be careful, you caution Rick. Don't get cut. Rick nods, nudging several of the pieces of broken glass out of the way with his shoe. Debris crunches under his feet with every step. He leans over, brushing aside the pottery bits that litter the floor, and picks up the tooth. Instantly, Rick falls over. His body twists on the ground on top of the shattered glass and pottery, piercing him all over. You rush to help, then notice yet he's still clutching the curved fang. A spirit or some other being must be inside it, trying to control him. You place your hands together, murmuring a protective incantation. Your hands glow an iridescent red. Only then do you approach Rick as he writhes on the floor, flinging droplets of blood from his wounds as he thrashes about. You lean down and wrest the tooth from his grasp. As you touch the fang, the tooth glows white hot. You drop it to the ground, gasping and clutching your burned hands to your chest. When security arrives, they take in the scene. One young woman kneeling on the ground, hands badly burned, and one young man, face up on the ground, covered in slashes, and with no pulse. For weeks after the funeral, you curse your inability to help Rick. You gave up magic and spend the rest of your college in a daze, too depressed to continue experimenting with your power after you were helpless to prevent Rick's death. The end. So yes, if we let Rick take the tooth, he ends up just dying horribly. You might consider that a good end, but it's not the end we're really looking for, chat. We'll grab the tooth. Before Rick can get to the curved tooth, you crunch down over the bits of broken glass and crouch down in front of it. Rick starts to move next to you, but you motion for him to stay back. Something isn't quite right here. Energy is emanating from the tooth, a force that you can feel push against you in waves. You place your hand on the floor for balance and nearly cut yourself on the destroyed glass. A commotion in the back of the room announces the arrival of security. You glance up at Rick, and he nods his head, moving to head them off. You have a few moments before the men can get by him. I don't know what Rick's gonna do. Really. Okay, so if we're a biology major, we can examine the tooth. Now, if we knew the scrying spell, which we could get if we chose one of the other majors, we could use... Oh yeah, the scrying spell, if you remember, was what we used to access the morphogenetic field and realize, I think, how our laptop was made. It was something like that in a previous playthrough. We don't have access to that, though. We could pick up the tooth and keep it, or we could destroy the tooth. Chat, do you want to examine the tooth, which are knowledge of biology? Do we want to pick it up? Do we want to destroy it? The morphogenetic field is every game, Epic Happy. It is in all games, across all of them. Actually, I think a little later, before we finish, I might want to come back here with the scrying spell to see what happens. But we don't have it, so you're saying we're going to use our knowledge of bio to see what this tooth's all about. Kneeling carefully to avoid the bits of broken glass and pottery, you examine the tooth from afar. It's splotched with brown stains, lined with slender, shallow cracks, and yellowed with age. Odd symbols are etched into every available space on its surface. Runes, maybe? You're not sure. None of the weird carvings look familiar to you. Looking closer, you think back to your bio classes. From your knowledge of evolutionary biology, it appears to be a fang from a prehistoric cat, maybe a saber-toothed tiger or a close relative of the species. Even from this distance, you can feel the large fang pulsing with power. The feeling is so strong that you find yourself struggling to keep your balance against its force. Payne, we might already have read this, that's possible. I know that we have encountered a tooth before, but I don't remember which one we went at that time. We have two choices. We can keep the tooth, or we can destroy it if there's no good that could come from the tooth. Yes, our biology knowledge was of great use here. Obviously, someone who is not a major in biology would not have been able to figure out any of that. You're saying we'll keep the tooth. You pull your shirt sleeve over your hand and clear away the broken pieces of glass from the tooth. Picking it up, you feel a small jolt. Whatever power resides in the curved fang is investigating your mind. You feel it experience your memories, your fears, and your desires, all in the one moment it takes you to regain your balance. Being laid bare before a strange entity doesn't leave you feeling as vulnerable as you might have thought. Thankfully, your decision to grab the tooth and the spirit that resides within it has not led to any harm. You feel the spirit settle into the back of your mind, as it making itself comfortable in a warm bed. So obviously, it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! We found a Millennium item. I'm sure it's a benevolent spirit that will help us win card games. You pull out your cell phone and check the time. Almost time to go to your Wicca meeting. As you put your phone away, Rick jogs up to you, security pacing up a few yards behind him. I told him it was a freak accident, but I bet they're going to review their security footage. I should probably be able to leave before they review it, though, if you want a lift. He arches an eyebrow at you as you turn away, tuck the rune-inscribed tooth into your back. I don't think that's a an accurate sentence. I think that kind of breaks the rules of English. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, I think last time we decided to take Rick up on his offer of getting a ride. If I remember right, I think that's what we did. Do we decide to do that again, or are we tired of Rick and his antics? Getting us into trouble in this museum, breaking the pottery. You know, Rick's a fun guy, but he's kind of bad news to hang around with. He kind of has a problem if you can't even come to a museum without smashing stuff. Gonna say we're tired of Rick. Thanks for the offer, but it looks like the security team still wants a word with you, you say. The museum guards saunter up behind Rick. One of them clasps a big, calloused hand onto Rick's shoulder. We'd have our boys up in the office review the tape. When you said, freak accident, you forgot to mention that you were the freak that caused the accident, the large man says. Rick looks up into the man's grim face and smiles weakly. It must have slipped my mind, he says. He stifles. Rick's he's so dumb. He's so stupid. Why are we hanging out with him? He stifles a giggle. The security guard tightens his grip on Rick's shoulder, and Rick's face goes white. You shoulder your backpack and pat Rick's arm. Call me later if you need bail. That's kind of cold, honestly. I guess Rick brought it on himself, though. As the guards escort Rick away, you make your way out of the museum. Pushing open the double doors to the entrance, the fresh spring air brushes over your face. Inhaling deeply, you stretch your arms above your head and settle your backpack straps more comfortably over your shoulders. Kicking at a rock on the pavement, you begin the walk to Mara's house on Drew Street and the Wicca meeting. I don't think there's any path that you can take to avoid going to the Wicca meeting, as far as I can tell. Now we know this. We come to the house. We come to the meeting. We meet Devin and Theo. Well, that's a bit dramatic for meeting Devin and Theo. They're just our friends. They want us to go out into the porch with them. They have the Necronomicon, and then let's see. They want us to help them cast a spell. Well, chat. We might have tried all three of these at this point. If we help Theo by himself, if we help Devin by himself. Because if we go to Theo, we end up in the graveyard. If we help Devin, we end up in the arts building. We could all try it together. Why not? Yeah, I believe we have tried all three. But for the final run, we're going to go with both of them. Okay, so we're going to head to the park. Walk down to the park. Summon friendly spirit. It is always summon friendly spirit. We always try to do this, and it never works well. We should probably try something a bit less ambitious. As soon as they begin, you realize this was a terrible idea. Yes, they're mispronouncing words. The void appears. Yep, there's the demon. There's the aberrath. We remember that. Same thing. Same thing always. Okay. It's asking us, chat, if we know the flame spell. We do know the flame spell. I think actually we picked this before. I don't remember if that's what we did or if I did it just by myself. I think maybe in early run we did use the flame spell on the aberrath. We did pick biology as our major, which does allow us to use the flame spell for some reason. So you're saying if we know it, we might as well use it. I mean, we have it, right? You turn to Theo and Devin, who are still trying to shake the ringing from their ears. They both lie on the ground, struggling to get themselves to their feet. As Theo and Devin try to pull themselves together, you realize that right now it's up to you to stop the creature. Perhaps you can use your new spell to hit it? The power of the fire spell must be able to stop the beast in its tracks, or at the very least, distract it from running towards the school. You look down at your clenched fists, then look back at the retreating form of the demon. Now, I don't remember which of these we picked, chat. Do we want to try to create an inferno that bathes the entire demon in flame, or do we try to go for a headshot? Do we go for accuracy? Cratera, you're saying we went to the headshot last time? then maybe it is time to rain down the wrath of the Inferno upon the world, and say fire is now everywhere. You stand and dig your shoes into the soft earth, readying the flame spell. You recite the powerful word over and over in your mind, visualizing a column of fire engulfing the demon's entire body and shooting towards the sky. When you feel ready, you raise your right hand, palm facing outward, and shout, "Shufra!" A column of flame erupts from the demon's back, engulfing its shoulders in a fierce blaze. You've managed to hit the creature, but the burst lacked the power you needed to completely engulf the beast in fire. Even from this distance, you can smell charred flesh. The demon shrieks in pain, its clawed hands reaching towards the blaze on its back. It bellows a strange, guttural word, and the fire scorching its back stops instantly. Oh, it knows magic too. Your heart skips a beat as it turns to face you. You swear that you can hear it chuckle, the low rumbling sound of a landslide sweeping down a mountain. You turn as well and start to run. Your time on the track team serves you well. You make it a good distance before the demon catches up, grabs you, and rips you to shreds. Your life ends here. Well, I mean, okay, so that was different. So it seems that going for the headshot was the better thing to do. Now, by the way, if we continued on with that playthrough and we had the tooth, what I've seen so far is when I've tried to do anything to kill the demon or summon the spell to call a demon to possess, the tooth does not like it and will kill us. So it can do that. I don't know, let's just try some quick runs. See how many we can do before we run out of time. Solid Snake? Okay, I'll try it. I don't know if my Solid Snake voice is any good, but give it a shot. The soundtrack is honestly great. Yeah, Shadows of the Dam soundtrack, really underrated. It is a great soundtrack. I'm going to go with History Major. The reason is because we get the scrying spell. Then I wanted to go with Rick. Get the tooth. We grab the tooth. Okay, so now we have the scrying spell when we arrive at the tooth, and we can use it to examine the tooth, try to look into the past of the tooth, and see what it's all about. So let's see what that's about. The prehistoric tooth is yellowed with age. Strange symbols have been carved onto every inch of its surface. Runes, perhaps, you're unsure. None of the images look familiar to you. Holding your breath, you lean forward and place one fingertip on the ancient curved fang. A sudden rush of images assails your mind, a spearhead slicing through fur and flesh, a feeling of explosive pain, the sound of screaming, the taste of bile, a circular glyph painted on the ground in blood, a bonfire, shadows grown large against the cave wall in the flickering light. Something else lies below the surface of these images and thoughts. Suddenly you experience a powerful push, strong enough to almost knock you over, as a force tries to make its way into your mind. The presence that resides within the tooth is struggling to get out. It seems to find your body to be an optimal vessel. Okay, now I don't know, but I'm kind of anticipating that if there is some kind of true ending, some kind of better ending, then maybe this is a path to that. There's something in the tooth that is trying to possess us. Do we defend ourselves, or do we just wait and see what happens, chat? Okay, it looks like you're saying we're not going to defend ourselves. We're going to wait and see what happens. Taking a deep breath, you allow the power to link to your mind. You can feel it exploring your entire being. It crawls through your memories, your fears, your desires. You're entirely defenseless before this spirit, yet it doesn't harm you. You feel no malevolent intentions from this being. Perhaps it's just searching for a way to survive, or the means to accomplish a goal. Still taking calm, deep breaths, you acknowledge the spirit as it settles into the back of your mind. It's sudden and perhaps unwelcome house guest, but at least it isn't making a nuisance of itself. Yes, it's Aiden. This is how Ellen Page ended up getting linked with Aiden. Okay, so do we try to get rid of it with one, or do we say if it's not bothering us, we can continue on, chat? Okay, it looks like you're saying that you'd be interested in having a head friend. And having someone just, hanging around in your head. Like I said, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're in a bad situation, it comes out and handles it for you. I mean, wouldn't we all like that, really? I'm going to put a bookmark down here, chat. And we're going to say what happens when we try to get rid of it. Taking a deep breath, you start to recite an incantation that will rid the spirit from your body. However, it's too late for this kind of action. The powerful presence anticipates your intentions, as it is linked with your psyche. It knows your thoughts, and moreover, it is completely unwilling to leave your mind. You feel a tug at the back of your mind, and the vaguest of whispered words. The strange power residing within you has countered your own spell. You feel a rending, tearing pain filling every fiber of your being. You scream as your spirit is ripped from your body. However, just as quickly as the pain begins, it stops. You find yourself in a strange gray world, awash in mist. Formless, you find yourself without a mouth to speak or ears to hear. You drift from place to place, always within the intense wash of the fog. Sometimes you'll see a figure in the distance. Maybe they appear just over that next hill, or are just disappearing into that grove of trees, yet you can never catch up to them. You wander aimlessly for years, searching for a way back to your body, a way that you'll never discover. Your adventure ends here. The end. So yes, if you are going to be possessed by a spirit from an ancient tooth, you can't do anything about it, because that's just going to happen. So, we don't resist it, we just let it into the head, and then go on. Try to just go on with our lives. You take a deep breath and come to terms with the fact that there is now something sharing the real estate in your head. You hope it doesn't mind some of your memories, like the time in first grade when you ate the brown crayon because you thought it was a piece of chocolate. We were a dumb kid. Pulling your cell phone from your pocket, you check the time. Almost time to go to your Wicca meeting. As you put your phone away, Rick walks up to you. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Freak accidents, review security footage, thrown into jail. Okay, so once again, chat. We can choose what we're going to do with Rick right here. Are we over Rick, or do we accept his ride? Once again, how do we want to leave the museum? Leave it in a car with Rick, or just go on foot because Rick ain't nothing but trouble? Okay, it looks like you're saying we're over Rick. Yep, security arrest him. We go to the Wicca meeting. We meet Devin and Theo. Once again, chat, we always come to this choice, don't we? Do we want to go with Theo? Do we want to go with Devin? Do we want to go with both of them? I mean, it doesn't seem like anything we can do will result in us doing anything differently. It seems like we'll always come to these paths. Looks like that you're saying, number 3, go with both of them. Going to the park. We are going to summon the demon because that's what we always do, chat. We always summon the demon. We cannot help but summon the demon. And hey, chat, we don't know the flame spell. We do not know it. What are we gonna do now, chat, if we don't know the flame spell? I mean, I think that every time we've been to this section, we have used the flame spell. First time it was the headshot. Second time we brought down a larger area of flame. But now we don't know it. Demons on the loose, and we don't know the flame spell. What will we do? I guess we're just gonna have to find out in a few minutes, because we've reached a half an hour, which means it's time to take a little break from Hex Boyfriends and fighting this demon. Be right back in a few minutes, and we'll see what we might possibly do without the flame spell. See you in a few.